Hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Erica Jemison. I'm an artist with Swordcraft Professional. And here today, we're going to talk about Agora Royale new cools. Yay! It's funny because when I thought about what we were going over, I'm like, oh my God, this is why I sit here. I remember my days in the early days of being a colorist. Orange was my biggest problem. And that's what made me devote myself into education because with education, you could become limitless. So, we're going to have a lot of fun today and just giving you information that's going to help you in the world of color. So, just to give you a quick bit on the new cools from Agora Royale, they help to provide optimum neutralization, especially when you're dealing with darker levels of hair, and then also with correct formulation for lighter hair also. We have 8 new shades, 5 in Agora Royale, and three, in Vibrance. So what is Agora Royale? Agora Royale is our permanent hair color. It has a high definition technology, which helps to give you that crisp shine color. Also 100% white coverage, tone on tone direction with clear tone direction. Our Vibrance is our demi-permanent, love, love, love. It has an aquacell technology with B3 and B5 vitamins, no alcohol, and it's our demi-permanent. And what's awesome about the Vibrance line is that you have 3 developers to choose from. You have your gel developer, and then you also have 2 lotions to choose from. And we'll have a conversation of when and why you're going to pick up what. What's great about having a great color line, permanent hair color line that covers gray hair, and give you all of your fundamental needs and having a vibrance that matches the shade and levels together, it creates this dual system to where, let's say your client comes in for a new growth application and you want to refresh the mid lips and ends of the hair, you can go to your vibrance. What's super cool about the new cools that we have now is that when you go in to touch up, your when your client comes in for a touch up, that you can actually go in with the demi permanent from the new cool series. So it's really really cool. Something I would like to add at this time is when you look at, and if you're a new user to Vibrance, we use the number system. The number system, the international level system is from 1 being the darkest to 10 being the lightest. And then also our tone direction is reflected in the number system also. Don't let that scare you at all because I'm going to actually talk about the remaining pigment contribution chart and where you can actually mix the numbers to the tones that will help you if you're not used to using a number system. And guess what? 10 new words, no problem. You can learn that fast. So right now I'm going to have my model come out and talk a little bit about what I used on her hair. And for me, I do color a lot of dark bases. So the Agora Cools work really, really cool for me. And we'll have some conversations about sometimes what cool looks like. And I know that there's some stylists that like shy away from the characteristics of cool on the hair, but once you get comfortable with the characteristics of cool on hair, it's going to be no problem for you and it'll take care of any fear you have. So now if I can have my model Ashley come out, please. So Ashley was a natural level 4 and we went in with 6.23, no, I'm sorry, 6-31 on her new growth with 20 volume because I wanted a multi-dimensional finish and I wanted to give it still like a little bit of a rooted look. And with using the Agora Cools, it just really, really like optimized the neutralization and made it really, really soft. On her mid shaft and ends, I actually went in with 731 and I used half of 7-0. And I'll explain a little more why I did that. But just off the top, I just want to tell you that whenever I find that there's a little bit of a porosity issue and I'm using cools, I'll always balance it out with my naturals. For this highlighted area that you see here, I actually went in with a weave and taken diagonal forwards with the weave because she wears her hair curly sometimes. So I like to use weaves when my clients wear their hair curly so that the color can always be diffused and very, very soft. and just work towards taking diagonal forwards, working towards the front of her hair. I used our Blonde Me 9 Plus Premium Lightener with 7 volume, and that was done after her complete head was transferred from her natural level 4 and went in with our level 6 and 7s, right? So now what I'm going to do is, and this is a perfect example of when I would actually use my cools and kind of balance it out too. I'm actually going to use our VIBRANCE. I'm going to use 9-1, level 9. 1 is a Cendre, and 2 is going to be our blue. I'm going to use level 8-1, 1, and that's our Cendre. I'm going to use half and half because when I look at our highlights, it's still kind of a balance of, I feel like it's between an 8 and 9, and whenever I feel like that, just for safety, I'll go in and just mix half and half. I am going to use our gel developer because our gel developer is what you would use when you want a gentle toning. So with the cool, I know that it's going to be enough neutralization from my tone to direction, which is going to give me exactly what I need, and I don't have to worry about fear. With the gel and VIBRANCE, you can actually use the gel when you want to do a quick touch up, a quick toning service, and you want to use the bottle. And that's what I love about VIBRANCE. I love options. Don't you guys love options? Yay. So I'm actually going to go to 1 ounce with each color. Yay. And this is cool because you can use your bottle with the second. And when you mix the VIBRANCE, it is equal parts. Now I'm going to go in with my gel developer. I use 1 ounce of 8-11, 1 ounce of 9-12. So now that equals, yes, that equals 4. Once your colors are all in your bottle, what I like to do is just kind of give it a good shake. Yay! Before I get started, I love our color essentials. I don't know if you're using our color essentials, but they're so essential when you're coloring hair. So I'm going to just use a little Skin Protect, and the shades are really light. However, I still like to just base around my client's hairline just to make sure that my color always looks like a professional color and there's never a residue of color. Yay. So here, and this is just the way I am, I'm going to actually take diagonal forward sections while I go in with my toner. But before I get started with that, when I was coloring Ashley's hair, I did realize that we were having some porosity issues at the end. So I'm actually going to, before I even get started, and make sure you guys can see that, the hair primer is excellent to use whenever you feel like, I mean, think about coloring a wall. It's like you're going to prime first. So for me, this gives me insurance that if we have any porosity issues, the primer is going to take care of it. I am an insurance person. If you know me, I have insurance on everything, including my cat and dog. I'm just playing. I don't have a cat and dog. So what I'll do is just kind of comb the primer through on both sides. And this is before I get started. And don't worry, the primer will not affect your color at all in a negative way. It will affect your color in a positive way. This works well for the scenario that we have now, because I like to do my toners on damp hair. Like most of us stylists, we have similar characteristics most of the time. So now I'm gonna just start, and I'll take pretty large sections because I'm working with the gel, and it's gonna be really, really easy to kind of move through. I'm just gonna use my hands to work that color through. The gel, when I am toning, I just love the way the gel, VIBRANCE just feels. It's just so nice and soft on the hair. And like I mentioned before, it's really, really cool when you want to do a gentle toner. However, depending on what your overall results are or you want them to be, that will be what determines what you would pick up versus your gel with your cream. One of the things that I would like to note for you at this time is that when you do have someone that doesn't want to commit the permanent color and they want gray coverage, it can be obtained with using your Vibrance. However, you would just probably want to go with more of your lotions opposed to your gel. The side is completed. In this scenario, I would normally leave my toner on about 10 minutes. However, because of the health of her hair and the way her hair feels, I'm not worried about her hair going too cool and losing the brightness. It's just gonna go from bright to soft. And when I talked about like the characteristics of cools, I think that's like the most important conversation to have is the characteristics. Because I have some clients, not now, pretty much everyone's on board to the Erica way. Because they know I know best and I'm gonna do what's best. But just identifying the characteristics of what it looks like with natural hair and with cool hair versus warm, right? So when you think about warm hair, it's gonna shine a little, it's gonna be a little brighter, shine a little brighter. And yes, go back. Let's see here. Yeah, it's gonna shine a little brighter. So when you look at cool hair, it's gonna just be a little softer. And that's where neutralization comes from. Like I always like to tell everyone could wear blonde hair. It's just a matter of the tone and is it fitted for the skin type. And if you look at like blondes on darker skin, if the blonde is like butter and caramel, it looks really, really soft on the skin, opposed to where if the blonde is a little gold, it kind of causes a contrast that's not always complementary to the skin. So understanding like what cools look like versus warm and where they should live, because you can create beautiful warm tones, you can create beautiful cool tones, but it's just all about where you put them in the individualization and how you customize it to your client. So I'm going to have Ashley go back. We've set a timer for 10 minutes on her hair and then we'll review when she comes back. But now I want to have a conversation with you that I feel is very important when it comes to the basis. So when I say that Schwarzkopf Professional uses the international level system of 1 to 10, we're going to talk here and I'm going to just show you the remaining pigment contribution chart and how you could use the remaining pigment contribution chart. And I'm just going to bring that forward if you want to take a picture of that with your color wheel when it comes to neutralization and understanding the pigment. So first I want to go here. Let's say when you look at this tube of color, this is 8-21, right? This is a level 8, 2-2, which is your blue, -1, which is your cendres, your violets, right? So what you want to think about is it's your blue violet, your -1. So you want to think about that first -2 is going to be your primary tone, which is your blue, and that -1 is going to be your secondary tone. You can think about it like this, like 2 parts of your secondary tone is going to be the most, is where it's going to be like 2 parts of your first tone, which would be your -2, and then 1 part of your -1, which will be your blue violet, right? So let's just talk about the international color system really quick, and then I'm going to go into the basis of where you would find your colors with Agora Rayo. So when you look at the international level system, 1 being the darkest to 10 being the lightest. So let's say you find your blue in your -1 and you'll find your pale yellow in your level 10. It's really, really important to really get connected with the remaining pigment contribution that's found in the hair, because what happens is if you understand that, you would understand exactly where to go, right? So let's say for an example, when we look at the Agora New Cools, right? And you think about what is needed to neutralize a lot of dark hair when you're coloring dark when you're lifting the hair, right? So let's just start at a level 5. When that hair is a level 5, it's going to be a red orange, and what you're going to need to neutralize it is a green. Well, where would you go to neutralize in Schwarzkopf Professional when you need to neutralize green? That would be your dash 3, right? So that would work with your color wheel here. I'm just going to give you the put the color wheel here if you want to take a quick shot of that, right? So if you look at the color wheel and you look at orange and you work opposite, then you would see what will neutralize orange, and that would be your blue, right? And that's where when I started off initially, and I was saying that that was a challenge for me when I first started coloring hair because I did not understand the bases. So someone I trusted so much when it came to color, where she goes, Erica, you need to just use blue. And I was like, where's the blue? If I put the blue on orange, it's going to ruin everything. But basically, it was just identifying your bases. So let's just have a quick walk through our bases with Schwarzkopf Professional. Dash 1 is going to be your blue violet. Dash 2 is going to be your blue. Dash 3 is going to be your green. Dash 4 is going to be your beige. Dash 5 is going to be your gold. Dash 6 is your chocolate. Dash 7 is your copper. Dash 8 is going to be your red. And dash 9 is going to be your purple. So when you understand what is actually you're going to see in the hair, because really when you look at the remaining pigment contribution chart, you really look at that's where your neutralization starts, right? Just show you that really quick. So if you understand, okay, so what am I going to have to neutralize when the hair is at a level 6 or when the hair is at a level 7, and you understand that, and you work completely opposite of the color wheel. And just like we learned long time ago, many, many years ago, for our optimum use of the color wheel, you'll either work around to enhance, or you'll work in the opposite side to neutralize. And so where you look where our new cools sit, if you look at the cools, like let's say for an example, you have a dash 433 here. That's a level 4 dash 33. So that's a double green is going to be your tone direction. So what you're going to get from that is a beautiful brown without any warmth. Now, what's warmth? I'm sorry. So when you think about using cools, and let's just have a conversation about cools, because I find that some stylists are, when it comes to cool, some stylists, especially I find for newer stylists, you have to get comfortable with the characteristics of how the hair transforms when you're actually going in and using a cool shade, right? And like I mentioned earlier, everyone could wear a shade of blonde, but it's a matter of matching that tone to their skin and making it look soft and sandy, right? So when I talk about stylists actually getting comfortable with understanding what cool hair looks like and how it may transform, and being comfortable with seeing a shade that was light and bright actually take on this nice, crisp, cool, like low type of vibe opposed to that high vibe that you get with warm, but still understanding that the level has not been affected, you're only affecting the tonality, is really important. So how do we do that? For me, I look at a lot of imagery and look and just really, really training your eye once you get past understanding what the remaining pigment contribution looks like, and then going to understand what does cool look like and understanding that. So let's say when you're toning hair, and let's say if you get to a level 10 is really, you're going to see a yellow. And when I go out and I educate, I always tell stylists to really get comfortable to that exposed pigment. So what does the hair look like at a level 10? And the hair, I see a message. Okay. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any issues. Okay, so what does the hair look like at a level 10, right? It's a pale yellow. Let's start from the beginning, right? When you open your foil and the hair looks, when you see yellow, that's our time. And, you know, lighting in the salon sometimes can be a challenge. For me, sometimes I actually have to go outside so I could see what it truly looks like, right? So going through your foil and seeing, okay, it's a level 10. What do I do with this level 10, right? Do I want to enhance, right? Do I want to neutralize? So if I want to neutralize, that's where I'm going to go to my dash nines, right? Or I'm going to go to my violet, my Sandres, the dash one, right? Or if I want to enhance, then you're going to go with more of your golds, or you're going to go with your beiges. What makes a difference? What makes the difference in this? And you know, it's funny because I really was the person in beauty school. I could not wait to get out, right? Because we had all of this information. Even when I was assistant, I just couldn't wait to get my own clientele because we had that conversation before, orange and blue, but I was just so ready to get out that I kind of missed it, right? But when we think about like optimum neutralization and we think about what is truly beautiful, it's when you customize something for the individual, right? So depending on the skin type and tone is where I'll go to my dash ones or my dash nines, or if I want to go more to my beige. But it's a formulation, and your client is definitely in that formulation. The hair type and texture is definitely in that formulation. And then when you mix those two together with your education, that's how you get optimum color results. Okay, let's look at a level 9, right? A level 9, we'll see here, it's yellow, right? And so, what are the characteristics of yellow? And I know that, you know, having this conversation may seem like, oh, I might, for some, I already know that, or for some, it might be a refresher, or we might just be going through this together. Yay! So, when we look at a level 9, it's a yellow. So, what are we going to do to neutralize yellow? And I'm just going to thank everyone in advance for going through this with me, because this exercise is just going to give us like complete confidence, especially when we're using our new Agora Cools, right? Or when we're coloring hair just generally. So this is fun, trust me, right? So with your yellow, where are you going to go with your yellow? You're going to go opposite of the wheel. So this information helps you to decide, what box of color am I going to pick up, right? And our dash zero is our neutral, right? So with my model Ashley, I used some of the neutral when I was neutralizing her hair, because it's important to know when you need to add some neutral to your formula. So I would say, like, when you're using cools, understand when, okay, I might need to add a little natural to that. And that's okay, right? Because you can intermix all the colors in Agora Vibrance, all the colors in Agora Royale. You can intermix them within the line. So it's okay to add your cool to what was there before. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. Okay. So when we get to a level 8, what are the characteristics that you see at a level 8? A yellow orange. So what are you going to need to neutralize that? Right? You're going to work opposite. And that's when you're going to go more to your violets and your orange, right? There's that orange again. Oh my God. When you realize that orange is a problem and you start using Agora Cools, it's gonna be so amazing. It's gonna change your life, I promise. And then when we look at a level 7, orange, that's where you'll go right to your blue. Right to your blue. Right? A level 6, you're gonna have red orange, and that's where you're gonna go red orange. So that's where you're gonna go with your greens, with your blues. Right? This is so cool and fun. And then when you get to a level 5, you have your red. That's green all day long, baby. All day long, right? And then from your level 5 down, you don't have to worry about neutralization. I talked about before, and you're using the green because you are going to see a red violet, but lower than that, you won't have to worry about it, right? So don't that sound like something like, once you understand the cool conversation, now you could just become limitless, right? So as a hairdresser, we've gone through the international level system. If you're not used to using the international level system, 1 through 10. 1 being the darkest, 10 being the lightest. Then understanding tone direction, right? And using your color wheel and understanding where to go when you see those exposed pigments. If you took a picture of the remaining pigment chart here, I have here, it shows you completely what pigment you're dealing with when exposed, right? So I remember just being a new colorist and dealing with lightener, and some fear lightener because it's like, oh my God, it just lifts through the levels of hair. But you are in control of your lightener when you understand, oh, okay, what level am I going for? Oh, okay, well, then I need to use this. Oh, once I'm going for a level 7. So when I see the orange exposed, oh, okay, I'm at a level 7 now. So getting to know your color wheel is crucial, because what happens is you can have a great product, but if you don't have the education to go with the product, to understand the product, then it will affect the success that you have. Does that make sense? So I just really, I'm in love with the cool colors because, like I said, I color dark hair all the time. That doesn't mean that it's not for the hairdressers. I mean, that your clients with lighter levels of hair. Once, as a colorist, a hairstylist, you become comfortable with your color wheel, the remaining pigment contribution chart, the color line you're working with, and you work together with that, and you're comfortable with what you're doing, then your clients will become comfortable too. Anyone that knows me know that I love to have real conversations. And what I've learned is my clients have learned to trust me because they know that I continue to educate myself. And then also I've brought them in on the education. And I have 2 clients that I'm going to give a shout out. And I'm going to give a shout out to them because they're a perfect explanation of getting my clients comfortable with knowing how important tone direction is. And my one client, Susie, if you're out there, hi, Susie. And she never, ever liked for me to use toners on her hair. Never, ever. However, once I took her through the education, and the education that you take your client through is not going to be the education that we go through as professionals. But once I made her understand, and how I made her understand was using real raw light, right? So I colored her hair without any toners, and we did some highlighting on her, and I took her outside and we took a picture of what her hair looked like untoned on her skin. And then when we went back and took and toned her hair, and then we went back outside and we took another picture, and that's when she became a believer and was, and I could not color her hair without toning, right? Reggie was another example. She was a client of mine that had a lot of gray, so we had to start taking her lighter. However, when we start taking her lighter and I used the Sandrays on her and how beautiful it looks on her skin, we did the same exercise. And maybe if you have someone, because oftentimes when people are used to having dark hair that's lightened, when they see the brightness, that's what they see as light. That was Susie. However, we had my client Reggie that has a lot of gray hair, and when I start to color her hair with the Sandrays and everything, she was used to seeing something that was completely different from soft on her skin. But taking people through that exercise and helping them understand this is what looks beautiful on your skin, right? And 9 times out of 10, when you're coloring dark hair, you're gonna have to deal with neutralization. So before my model comes back out, I just wanna go here really quick. And I wanna just have a little fun exercise. When we think about the -1s, those are our Sandrays, our blue violets. Our -2 is what? Blue. -3 is our green, right? And so those are gonna be your best friends, right? So I'm gonna have my model come out, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about finish, and you'll see the results of what happens with Vibrance in jail. Yay! Okay. So I don't have any questions. Let's see here. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes. And so for those that are watching now, not watching now, you can always come back and you can watch later. and get the information. So let's see here. Okay, we can have our model come out. And I want to talk a little about aftercare also. I talked a little bit about our professional products, and this was Aftercare. Anyone who knows me, and if I've been in your salon, hair sealer. Oh, turn that around. Hair sealer, it's a part of the professional line. Let me make sure I got that good shot for you guys. There you go. Had a little problem with that. Hair sealer is what our professional, it's part of the professional lines that's necessary for coloring hair. And we'll always use that after any chemical service because what it does is it rinses out the residue of any chemicals and it starts to reduce the swelling of the cuticle layer of hair. What I love about the hair sealer is that you can feel the immediate transformation of the hair going from a chemical service to coming back down to its natural pH. So we use the hair sealer after each and every one of our professional services. So we definitely went in and used the hair sealer with our model in the back. Let's see.
Someone said whenever I use 8-4 on blonde, the blonde turns green.
I'm sorry, I have a question here. Whenever I use 8-4 on blonde, the blonde turns green. Well, our -4 is our beige. So what I would say is if you're using, I'm sorry here. Okay. So if you're using, and that's why I talked about the hair primer, right? Because if we think about the characteristics of porous hair, what are the characteristics of porous hair? And that's a great question because on porous hair, what does it want to do? Reject warm and accept cool. And that's a great conversation to have because we want to understand what are the characteristics of hair that's porous, right? For me, hair that's porous, it sits a little flatter to me, and so whenever versus hair that's healthy, right? So whenever I'm in doubt, I'll always go through and I'll use some reconstructive service before to start to restore the hair. Then also I would go in and use the hair primer, which I used before. This actually helps with keeping the hair, I mean, dealing with porous hair, right? And then let's say if the hair is blonde, and this is something that I visually learned, right? When the hair is blonde and a lot of pigment is exposed, maybe, just maybe, because I know sometimes we don't like to, a lot of stylists always think about when the hair is blonde and just neutralizing, but we have to think sometimes we need to enhance. So part of the challenge, depending on the level of blonde, you might need to add a little more yellow in there. And adding the yellow could be, that's going to be your gold, right? And so when we talk about a primary and secondary tone, maybe you need to switch the tonal direction and go for a more gold being the primary tone. That also could be a solution. So between the three of a reconstructive treatment before using the hair primer and then really understanding exactly what level of blonde it is it level 8 or 9, or if it's 10 where it's a pale yellow, what you really need to put back in the hair. And I have to be honest, there was a time where I had to really learn what the characteristics of that hair look like so I'll know what to put in that hair. And so you can actually, like, let's just say if you're dealing with a blonde that doesn't have a lot of pigment, when you actually put that gold in the hair, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a warm tone, because if the hair is missing that primary, then it's going to accept it and it's still going to appear neutral. I hope I answered your question. Okay, so here's Ashley. I've been calling for. We finally got her out. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Yay. And let's see, I want to answer another question here. Yes, you can go ahead.
Somebody asked you what step you use the hair sealer
Okay.
and after shampoo, and do you use conditioner?
So I just had a question of what step do I use the hair sealer? I use the hair sealer whenever right after. So for me, I'll shampoo the hair and then I'll use the hair sealer before I actually use a conditioner. Let me just fix this cord a little bit. Oh, thank you. So I use the hair sealer before I use my conditioner, and then I use my, then I'll go in and use my conditioner. Do we have another question there? So here we go. We have nice, beautiful, caramelized results. Like I said, our model, she started at a level 4, and look at these beautiful results. And what I love about using Agora Royale, it's just so conditioning to the hair, where the hair feels so beautiful, and it doesn't just feel like the hair has been colored. And that's where your hair sealer is your best friend also. Just to recap a little bit about what I used for Ashley, we used the 6-31, which is our green cendre, and then green cendre with your blue violet being your secondary tone. For her ends, we use 7-31 with half of the natural, and then it goes back to that question that we talked about of using a shade and seeing really, really flat results. You really want to pay attention to when that hair is going to need a natural, and that's when you'll go to your -0s. That is stunning. Right, you can read another question for me, please.
Someone asked for you to closer look at the color.
Oh, sure. And we will bring the camera in. Let me just straighten this one area here. And can you bring the camera in a little bit so that everyone can see? Lean over, Ashley, please. Lean over. There you go. And so you could see the beautiful, beautiful brown that's nice and caramel without the presence of any red. And you could see the beautiful toned highlights that marries nicely with the browns with a multi-dimensional color, because when we when we colored the new growth, I actually deliberately made it a shade darker so that you would have that variation of tone colors coming through. And isn't that beautiful? So let's have a conversation about aftercare. We have a couple of friends that I want to talk to you about that helps when you're dealing with aftercare. And let's say for my clients that come in and their hair is, if I'm doing a touch up, we talked about the dual application. If you could use Agora Royale for your touch up of your permanent color, and then you can also go in with your Vibrance from mid shaft to ends. So let's say if Ashley came in for a touch up service, I would actually, this is exactly what I would do in the salon. So we have our 623, that's in Vibrance. And we have our clear. I would go in with the Agora Royale on her new growth. And then, to continue my tone, because when we talk about lightening dark hair, it's a continue, you always have to neutralize. So when someone comes in, Ashley came in, I would use the I will go back in with actually the 623, half of clear for this brown area on her mid-lengths and end. I will keep my toning formulation the same. I will send Ashley home with our Goodbye Orange, which is a great shampoo for whenever orange is going to be the remaining pigment contribution chart. I mean, I'm sorry, the remaining pigment. I would send her home with that. Of course, she would use the Goodbye Yellow in the front for her highlights, and then the back area she would use the Goodbye Orange.
Someone asked you what volume would you use on her hair for a retouch?
So for retouch, and this will definitely be, if I wanted to maintain this look for a while, I would go in with what I used before, which would be the original formula with 20 volume, right? Because for me, I'm pretty cool and I want my hair to be a little cool at the base area. So I would go back in with my original formula until we got a, a nice amount of new growth to where I needed to worry about lightening those ends again. And I would go in with the vibrance on the ends. Okay. Did that answer the question? Yes. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Are you loving your hair color so far, Ashley?
Yes, it's pretty.
Yes. And actually, we are going to put Ashley's before in the chat so that you could see where we started off. A new lady is maybe here. Let's see. Okay. So here we have our finished results. And we're gonna do just a little additional styling, and we'll put that in the chat too, so you can see the finish of the additional styling. I'm gonna use a little session that's by our Osis, just to tame away any frizz or flyaways. Actually, I'm just gonna have you kind of peek your head in the camera so that everyone could see these beautiful results. Peek your head in there, nice and beautiful. Thank you, Ashley. And like I said, we'll put her finished styling in the chats. I want to thank everyone for watching. Whether you're watching now or you're gonna watch later, you can put any questions that you have in the chat. I'll be answering them up to 24 hours. You can refer and find us on Facebook at Schwarzkopf Professional USA, on Instagram at Schwarzkopf USA. Thank you. And also, we have an e-learning tool that will go over any information that I mentioned today. And that if you want to get more information, you can find our e-learning tool online also. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to thank you for wanting to know more about IGORA COOLS. And I can't wait to see your cool results. Thank you.